Hello everyone, this is Mr. Brain Junkie here, and today we'll be talking about a dark fantasy movie called The Brand New Testament. Be ready for some spoilers ahead. In this world, God is a grumpy middle-aged man who lives inside the city of Brussels. The entity has been bored ever since the beginning of time, and he decided to cure his boredom by creating this world. He then tried to fill the empty spaces by making strange creatures, but God was not satisfied with any of the creations as they were too different to himself. He came up with the idea of creating the first man, Adam, who was based on his own image, and the deity was very pleased by the results. The man wandered aimlessly inside the city, not sure what his purpose was, until he finally met a woman called Eve, who he fell in love with right away. They decided to do some bedtime exercises immediately, but it was not easy getting things right the first time. However, they were eventually able to put the sausage in the bun, making numerous little people as a result and populating the entire world. The deity also lives together with his daughter Ea, alongside his wife, the goddess, who he bosses around all the time as she never seems to talk back. Unlike his children, who's capable of great miracles, God is unable to do anything special, and he expresses this unhappiness by going to his computer room and making the humans miserable. He does this by creating unnecessary disasters in the world and making ridiculous rules that ensures every single human being will suffer so that he can be entertained. Sometimes later, Ea notices that the door to her father's room is open and wanders inside due to curiosity. She quickly realizes the endless cabinets of information and eventually wanders to a computer in the center of the room. The girl looks through the files inside the machine and is horrified by the endless disasters that her father is causing on innocent people. Ea confronts the man the next day about his fetish of making others suffer, calling her father disgusting and claiming that anyone can do better. This greatly angers God, causing him to chase after his daughter, eventually forcing some disciplinary actions on the girl. After suffering the punishment, Ea vows to take vengeance on her father by making him suffer just like the way he did to others. She tries to ask her brother JC for help, and the man tells her that she needs to leave this place and find her own apostles in humanity so that she can write a brand new testament. JC tells the girl that she can escape from the house by going inside the washer, but Ea decides that she has some unfinished businesses before leaving. The girl steals the keys to her father's room and goes towards the cabinets, picking out 6 random people from the files. She runs to the computer and begins sending every single death dates to all humans, causing billions of messages to be received by the people, some of them right before their death. Humanity is shocked by this revelation as a sense of impending doom is injected into the people's lives after realizing the precise time that they'll die. Shortly after, Ea puts a virus inside her father's computer before going to the laundry and entering the washer so that she can escape from this place. The girl enters into a large tunnel and begins climbing towards the human world as she slowly maneuvers through the endless pathway. After realizing their time of death, many stop their normal routines and begin doing what they truly love, while others try desperately to save their own lives, but ends up failing miserably. Very soon, God becomes aware of what's happening as he watches the chaos in the news and realizes that his keys are stolen, making him run towards his computer room. The man tries to fix the situation, but nothing is responding as the computer is clearly locked out, and he's able to pick up the scent of his daughter on the mouse like a bloodhound. He immediately rushes towards the laundry room and crawls inside the washer like an animal looking for its prey, but has a hard time fitting his belly inside the tunnel. On the other side, Ea has made it outside to the human world, and the girl tries to find anything to eat inside the garbage bin. This causes her to get sick immediately, but she was able to catch the attention of a homeless man called Victor and manages to convince him to help her write her new book. The old man carries her on his back, and Ea is finally able to rest as she feels protected by a father figure that she never had. They eventually make it to the city where the girl's first apostle is located, and the person turns out to be a beautiful woman named Aurelie. Despite her nearly perfect appearance, the woman has not been happy for a long time, as all the men in her building wants to have private lessons in her bedroom. The women are even worse, as they look at her constantly with contempt, believing somehow that she is responsible for the miseries in their lives. What they don't understand is that Aurelie was also also a tragic victim, as she lost her arm in an accident when she was only a little girl, leaving her nothing but a prosthetic. Ia is able to meet her in a subway station, and the girl wants to know why she kept on living despite the unhappiness in her life. Aurelie replies that life is like a skating rink, where many people fall down so that they can learn how to pick themselves up. The woman cries while thinking about how little time she'll have on this earth, and the girl collects her tears into a small container, promising to show her a miracle soon. Later that night, Aurelie begins seeing a vision as she walks towards the kitchen and notices something familiar on the diner's table. She sees the hand that she lost right in front of her as it dances around like it was on a skating rink. The woman embraces her own body as she cries in tears and finally accepting herself as the way she is right now. The next day, Ia goes to her second apostle and quickly finds out that the man is not home anymore. It turns out that his name is Jean-Claude and he's been sleeping in the park for a long time. When the man was very young, he wanted to be a fearless adventurer, but he quickly gave up his dreams by turning his life into something very small. Jean started working for companies and climbing the corporate ladder, eventually becoming a manager as he trades all his time away for being paid. Before the man realizes, he has already become old, but without families and loved ones to accompany him. One day, while walking in the park, Jean receives a message and realizes that he only has less than a year to live, causing the man to throw away his briefcase in anger. He decided in that moment to never trade a second of his life for money anymore and began sitting in the park. Jean started doing things that he enjoyed, like watching the simplicity of things around him and feeding the birds in the park. Ia is able to find the old man and questions why he decided to sit in the same place for such a long time, and the man quickly realizes that he never thought about this question. Jean wonders why the birds do the same thing when it can simply fly away, and the animal answers the man by flapping its wings as it soars into the sky. Jean is intrigued by the animal and quickly follows his new friend as the man finally begins the adventure of his life. At the same time, God has finally made it to the human world, but he quickly realizes that nothing goes the way he plans as he becomes a victim to the horrible rules that he created. He begins to understand that no matter what he did, he can never catch a break, and bad things always came in pairs as the local gangsters beat up the man for eating out from the garbage bin. God is quickly brought to the hospital, and instead of thanking the doctor for treating his wounds, he pushes the man down and storms out in anger. Still thinking that he's the almighty, the man tries to take the food from a little kid, but gets punished right away as the mother gives him a good spanking. On the other side, Ia has made it to her third apostle who goes by the name of Mark, and he had a profound experience when he was a little boy that changed his life forever. While playing on the beach, he saw a beautiful young girl appear in the far distance and immediately becomes mesmerized by her female assets. However, the girl looked at him with a sense of disdain which heavily affected his psychology as he becomes obsessed by the female body. Ever since that day, he can no longer look at the opposite gender the same way as he has truly embraced the identity of a simp. He tried to research how to pick up women online, but quickly realizes that all the mentors were nothing but scams as he was only able to repel the females like COVID-19. After learning that he only had 83 days to live, the man decided to blow all his money in the red light districts. He begins paying strangers to do bedtime exercises with him, even if he never lasts for more than 30 seconds. When Ia inquires whether if he feels that he's found true happiness, the man admits that he still has an empty feeling like something very important is missing. The little girl promises to show him a miracle soon as she advises him to use his incredible voice for something more productive than hitting on women. Mark decides to use his vocal talents for voice acting and manages to meet a woman who surprisingly shares a number of similar interests. Through their conversation, the man realizes that she's actually the same girl who he saw when he was very young, and they immediately become attracted to each other. Later that night, Mark decides to take the woman to his bedroom, but he did not do any aggressive cuddling right away, as for the first time, he's truly in love. Meanwhile, God has ironically wandered into a church where he tries to seek shelter from the people who worships him. He tries to get something to eat from the volunteers, but instead of lining up, he decides to cut straight into the front, causing himself to get beat up once again. Luckily, he's saved by a father who tries to convert him using kindness, but God reveals that he was the one responsible for the man's misery since birth. The deity mocks the man as he laughs at the father's misfortune, causing even the holy man to beat him up and making the statue of JC smile in the process. On the other side, Iya has arrived to her fourth apostle, whose name is Francois, and he decided to start killing random people after realizing how long he has to live. He always knew that there was a killer inside himself, as he could never feel sympathy for those who died. Now that God has revealed the death time for all humans, he decides that he'll be the hand of God, as whoever he kills was meant to die anyways. Iya approaches the man and gives him a bullet to put in his gun, while telling him to aim for a woman that's walking by who turns out to be Aurelie. Francois pulls the trigger, but ends up hitting his target right on the prosthetic arm, which amazes the man as he believes that it's a miracle. He begins following the woman right away, eventually going into her apartment building, as the man is clearly in love after failing to kill his target. However, Francois has a hard time accepting his feelings as he punches the mirror into pieces, not willing to accept that he's not a killer anymore. He tries to ignore how he feels, but ultimately decides to confess to the woman that he loves, as he brings the flowers inside the elevator and lays out all his feelings for her. Aurelie is shocked by the man's honesty, but only takes the flowers and leaves the elevator immediately. Satisfied by his confession, Francois is finally able to accept himself for who he really is. Very soon, Iya is able to find her fifth apostle, who's a middle-aged woman by the name of Martine. After finding out that her husband is going to outlive her by over 30 years, the woman tries to fill her emptiness by material objects, even renting a pretty boy to be her temporary boyfriend. No matter what she does, she cannot seem to find happiness, as the marriage with her husband has been loveless for a long time. Iya sees the woman's sadness and tells her to go to the circus, as the girl promises that that is where she'll find her true love. They head towards the carnival and quickly notices a giant gorilla inside a cage, while the woman is able to sense that the animal has developed true feelings for her on first sight. Martine quickly goes to the circus owner and buys the animal right away, so that she can finally begin living alongside another who truly cares about her. At the same time, Aurelie finds the phone number on the flowers that she was gifted, and finally decides to give the man a call so that she can invite him over. They sit on the bed while the woman takes off her prosthetic arm, and the two lie down together as they both accept each other for who they really are. Sometimes later, while looking for the final apostle, Iya runs into her father on the streets, and the girl decides to run immediately alongside her friend. The two are able to walk on water as they cross the river, but when God tries to follow them as well, he quickly falls into the water like a drowning chicken that doesn't know how to swim. The man is taken into the church once again, and this time even the father doesn't want to deal with him anymore. Very soon, Iya is able to find her last apostle, who turns out to be a young boy named Willie. His parents are paranoid about their child getting sick, so they constantly give him medications that he didn't really need. Ironically, it is because of the medicines that his mother gave him that caused him to lose his pancreas, giving the boy a little more than 54 days to live. In order to make their son happy before he dies, the parents agree to anything that the boy wants, but is shocked to hear that Willie only desires to be a girl for the remaining days. They allow the boy to wear his favorite dress to school as all the kids watch in disbelief, but Willie is just happy that he can finally be himself. Iya congratulates the boy for having the courage to pursue his dreams despite what others may think, and promises to show him a miracle very soon. Willie begins remembering the fish that he ate earlier that day, and later that night, he starts hearing a song being sung from the kitchen room. It turns out that the creature has revived into a glowing spirit, and Willie tells Iya that he wishes to return the fish into the ocean before he dies. The apostles also heard the boy's desire and decides to help him altogether. On Monday, Willie sold all his parents' furniture so that they can have the money to travel, and on Tuesday, Francois tells Aurelie that he no longer wants to assassinate others anymore. On Wednesday, Martine's husband finds out that his wife is sleeping with the gorilla and tries to kick them out, but instead, the animal chases the man away from his own house. On Thursday, Mark and his girlfriend decides to make love for the first time, and the goddess begins cleaning the whole house after finally getting rid of her husband. On Friday, Iya decides to spend all her time with her new friend, and on Saturday, Jean continues following the birds towards the Arctic, where he finally finds the purpose of his life. At the same time, God was also taken away by the police to be deported as he did not have the proper passport. Finally, on Sunday, the apostles all arrive towards the seaside as thousands of people gather on the beach so that they can spend their final moments near this beautiful place. Willie also takes the chance to return the spirit of the fish into the water. The people all lie down beside the young boy as to embrace the countdown, but an airplane in the sky where God is being deported begins falling down towards the people. Everyone screams in terror as they think that they'll die despite the prophecies, while God is also showing his fear of perishing as he cries in agony. Meanwhile, Iya's mother begins cleaning her husband's room, and she unplugs the computer to turn on her vacuum while being completely unaware that the machine has been turned off. When she plugs the computer back on, the screen allows her to reprogram everything, and the woman begins using the machine, completely altering its prior functions. This miraculously fixes the airplane as it barely misses all the people, while God celebrates alongside the police officers. All the dates of death are erased by the computer's reboot, implying that the people are now all immortal, as their destinies are returned back into their own hands. The goddess continues changing the human world, filling the sky with beautiful flowers and allowing many impossible things to happen in front of everyone's eyes. All the human fantasies are now a reality as she continues to improve the people's lives. On the other side, God is forced into manual labor as he tries desperately to find the washer that allows him to return to his home. So what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my videos, please press like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.